Generally, when you hear that something was made in China, you think mass-produced, generic, cheap, bad quality, and
I have lung cancer.
You think Wish.com and Temu products, stuff that doesn't strike you as good quality items. But what if I told you that the Chinese finally made something that cost more than 35 cents to produce? Something that looks like it took time, effort, and dedication to make. Cause I think I found it. And it's a Chinese anime called hold on.
突变英雄 X
I think I'm just gonna call it To Be Hero X. Heroes are the light at the end of a tunnel, our savior in times of crisis, the epitome of perfection in the eyes of the public, the LeBron James for the LeBronophiles out there.
Me and bro pretending to be the Lakers urinals.
And in this world, anyone can become a hero. And no, we're not talking about the fake ass heroes like Batman, Iron Man, or your parents.
Shut the fuck up!
We're talking about Superman levels of hero. You know, guys with real superpowers and not just snarky assholes with a lot of money.
Shut the fuck up!
But to get powers like these, they have to be trusted by the eyes of the people, and the more fans they have, the stronger their powers become. So you can see how powerful K-pop idols would be. Luckily, not everyone needs to bleach their skin and know how to dance like this when you can hire people like Lin Ling, whose job is to literally make ads and commercials to market these heroes as best he can. Lin's always wanted to be a superhero himself, but it's not easy earning the trust of the people when you aren't as talented or as white as these other K-pop stars, which is why he took up his current job. But it's not as simple as I made it out to be. And after layoffs hit harder than my dad on a Friday night, he goes to the rooftop to contemplate life and give the world the pinky finger right before his decision to start learning how to speak Korean. Which is when the hero named Nice, one of the city's most advertised people, hit him with one of these and proceeds to commit slip and slide by walking off the building. Without even time to process what's happening, Lin gets surrounded by Nice's management team, and before he knows it, he's getting bagged and dragged like a sack of potatoes. Now you remember earlier how I said anyone could be a hero? Well, luckily, the stereotype that all Asian people look alike is true, and Lin takes over as a new hero Nice, with blue eyes, white hair, aura, dance moves, and everything.
Oh yeah, it's all coming together.
And that's all there is to the show. Is what I would say if this anime wasn't fucking goated, but there's so many layers to it that you inevitably miss some really important details because there's so much that's being shown but not specifically told. Like how the public's perception of someone can physically transform a person's body or reshape their entire personality. But that concept has so many holes in it, and it brings up so many questions like, is there any way to fight against it? How sudden are these changes? Could you ever revert back to your normal self? And if you were poor but people thought you had money, would you all of a sudden become rich? These are all really important questions to ask the anime, but they don't always get answered right away or even addressed directly for that matter. You sometimes have to connect the dots and answer your own questions. There's no hand-holding whatsoever. They just throw you into the ocean and pray that you can pick up on the tidbits of info they give you to keep afloat. Otherwise, you're going to be drowning in all the information they give you, and it's going to be confusing why this guy shows up so much in the opening and ending, yet we haven't even seen him in the anime once. And I think that's what I really enjoy about the show, the mystery.
Now don't get me wrong, I like shows like Demon Slayer or Solo Leveling just as much as the next guys, but you have to admit, they're not the deepest shows. They don't make you think about anything other than, holy fuck, this shit is crazy! And it's fine that they don't make you ponder life, they're still great shows. But it's that lack of depth and mystery that keeps me from loving them. Now I love To Be Hero X because every time you press play looking for answers, you leave with more questions. The world feels like it's uncontrolled and has a mind of its own. Unpredictable would be a good way to describe it because it's like we're not listening to a story being told to us. It's more like we're witnesses to a documentary unfolding right before our very eyes. No one's telling us what's really happening, where these villains are coming from, and how the trust system and powers work. There are very subtle hints sprinkled throughout the anime that you can try to use and piece the puzzle together. But even if you never notice them or connect the dots, no one gives a damn. It's just part of the fun. So when you watch, take note of every minuscule detail, every action taken by a character. They almost always have some sort of meaning to them. It doesn't ever feel like an element is wasted, and this breathes so much life into a world that we know almost nothing about. And I've only come to appreciate shows like this more and more. Too often do we see anime reusing the same elements, the same tropes, and it's easy to feel like we've seen this somewhere before. So when I watch a show that puts effort into the little things to create a bigger picture, I get mesmerized by it. Now the show has this very serious and dark element, but don't think because they have slip and slides that they won't have characters throw on the gloves and swing at each other in mouth-watering animated sequences. Every fight starts off with a 3D arcane-esque normal art, and then flawlessly transitions into the 2D comic book inspired battle to the death where they're throwing haymaker after haymaker after haymaker. You're not trading quality over quantity here. The characters are complex and incomplete, and you can't help but love them. They're so mysterious, goofy, and unexpectedly real with such deep backstories. Any one of them could have been the main protagonist. And as you learn the rules and explore the world with them, you realize that there's so much more that you don't know, and that the lack of knowledge makes you thirst for more of the show like a crackhead at dawn.
The story always has your attention in the palm of its hands. You're never really sure what direction it might go, and a part of that is because it has what I will now refer to as Chinese cliffhangers. We saw this last season with Solo Leveling, and I loved the memes that came out from it.
Arise.
I'm not gonna spoil you with any cliffhangers here, but I just think, oop, gotcha. When an anime tries too hard to grab you by the feels, it can often backfire and make it too cheesy and forced. So studios try countering this by adding some silly moments in the mix. But if you have too many of them, the show becomes a comedy with randomly sad moments, which kinda loses the purpose of them. So writers have found this sort of sweet spot where they have characters experience the joys of life first, and then get humbled with the reality checks that can make a grown man cry. To Be Hero X makes you feel for these characters because they help you understand each of their perspectives. They dive deep down and show us the why, and not just the they're bad just because. None of them are really even bad people, they're just misunderstood. They don't deserve the bad things that end up happening to them, but that's what makes everything matter so much more. The story, the events, the little details, all these elements add up to the bigger picture that we see. And what we end up with are emotional cliffhangers that are just that much more shocking.
The anime was so good, we had to download Xiaohongshu to get the Chinese memes from there. But this isn't the first Chinese anime that had impressed us to the point we had to download an app that gives away our private info to the Chinese government. Chinese anime stocks have been on the rise ever since 2021, when LinkClick took the anime community by storm with its stellar animation, grounded characters, and simple yet mesmerizing story. It offered a different cultural perspective than what we were used to seeing with Japanese anime. The clothes, the art style, the random Chinese proverbs. But To Be Hero X is probably the most Chinese anime I've ever seen. Now, I understand that you might be like, duh, it's a Chinese anime. Is there supposed to be American culture mixed in too? Just hear me out. Think about how the trust system works. If you save a dog, your trust goes up. Defeat a villain, trust goes up. Save a child, trust goes up. Talk about what happened in Tiananmen Square on June 4th, 1989, your trust is going to your negatives. Plus, your family and friends won't see you ever again. Normal people can turn into heroes or villains based on how others view them. And that sounds oddly like the social credit system in China, doesn't it? Even though the show is one camel's hump away from being the most Chinese anime ever made, they don't censor the blood to make it look 10 times more inappropriate than it really is. So I guess that title still goes to Spy Family. I know this anime won't be on a lot of your guys' radar because it's like on that border of anime but not really anime, and it's not getting the attention it deserves. But it would be such a waste to not give this anime a chance because it really is amazing. You get a different perspective into the whole system and how things like trust can be easily manipulated on a large scale to rig it one way. It's corrupt and creative, but also highly realistic, and the way they add so much mystery to the plot keeps me coming back for more, especially with all the cliffhangers being absolutely insane. You may come into this show looking for the action scenes, but the story is so enticing that you stay for the super fast-paced plot that will leave you with more questions than answers if you don't piece together the hints they give you in the show. Chinese anime seems like it's on the rise again, and it's no surprise that this one is top quality.